Morning, guys. Lexion down, Lexion down. I got Al behind me with the Ziegler truck. Um, I was having a huge returns issue, so all the corn, no matter how slow I went, the corn would just go into returns. No matter what I did with the top deck, it didn't matter on the top deck for the chaffer. So then it kind of made you think about the bottom deck, but every time I looked at it, it looked like it was open how I wanted it and how it should be open. So I was trying other things and racking my brain, and then finally last night I came out just to putz around, and I happened to look in the back and hear the adjuster for the bottom chaffer. There's two bolts that hold it on, and they came unbolted. I had that happen on the 8820 before, where that bottom, them were a lever, and so the lever broke, the little tube broke, and so the chaffer was just sitting there flopping open and closed as it swung forward and back. And so this one was doing the same thing. So it was no big deal, but I had a couple questions, and Ziegler, being the way they are for customer service, was like, you know what? We'll just drive up there in the morning. We won't charge you the service call fee, but we're not, somehow we were sending pictures back and forth, and it just wasn't working. They're like, you know what, let's just meet in the field and take a look at it and make sure everything's okay as I bolt it back together, so I'm not missing something to have it do the problem again. And so yeah, another fun day. 15-minute repair. I guess I can't complain about that, but so we're gonna go fix it and see what we can find. As these two bolts come out, this is the adjuster to open and close the chaffer, and it was out of this position, so this piece was finally laying on the floor here. So we just got to bolt that back in, and then just make sure. That was my question, is then what else holds this in? And so that's what communicating through the phone just wasn't answering. But we'll get it figured out. So we open up this side, and these bolts were already loose. So we'll tighten them bolts up, and then start fixing this other side. Pretty easy. I'll make a video of how that chaffer and stuff come out, because that was so very easy. So easy. And if you ever damaged one, you just replace each one of them little chunks, not a whole big frame assembly and stuff. Pretty cool. I'm learning a lot about this machine, and I'm liking it. All right, so Al just came back. He's going back to look up the parts. So there's a little tube right kind of there. You see it down there underneath it, that little tube? My light's kind of hitting it there, hits it and goes away. That little tube is threaded, and there's supposed to be a channel that comes on this end with the bolt that runs through it to that tube, one at each corner. So we keep thinking that the guy before me that had this combine just wasn't, there's some bulbs that put out more light than others. And so I think he never put them bolts back in. Somebody didn't, and somebody put the egg leader stuff on wrong, and somebody put the fan pulley together wrong, and somebody had some other stuff wrong. And so I'm thinking this is maybe a guy that's watching YouTube videos on how to do stuff that shouldn't be. I don't know, but so far every little headache I've had with the combine has been this kind of stuff where the previous owner never put stuff there, or he did it wrong. But anyhow, we're going to look up and see if we can't get them bolts and hardware coming, or if I need to just make something myself to get moving. But whatever, we'll get it figured out. So at least we got the problem solved, and rather quickly. So other things we found is this little wire was bad. Actually, this one here is bad. It would actuate, it brought power to actuate the piece, but there's a potentiometer inside, inside the little stepper, inside the little motor here, there's actually a potentiometer that tells it where the rod position is at. So up in the cab, it thought the sieves were at wide open position when it would have been anywhere in between. So he had one, so he had a spare motor. We put the motor on or plugged it in, and it still read 20 millimeters in the cab. So then we just tried a wire, and it worked. So that problem is solved. And then what else were we able to find? Oh, we found a bad transmitter on the tailings return. So what it does here is, where I dumped it from plug-in, the tailings elevator, the sensor up top, the sensor is just like a planter where it's just a beam that goes through, and you just train it that when it's running empty, each paddle is so wide. You know, it takes so many milliseconds for the beam to be broke, run through the paddle, and come back open again. So it's just a quick calibration. There it knows that that's just a paddle. But when you start to fill it up with grain, the beam gets broke. It takes another extra so many milliseconds. So then it starts to tell you how much corn is coming on the paddles here. And so it just kind of helps you gauge the return, you know. So the little receiver's bad. And then it said on the stupid me, every time you start the comment, it says tailings return speed sensor bad. Well, I guess I never paid attention to it, so we ordered one of them. And then also walking around the machine, we on the corn head up here, I was having problems adjusting the deck plates. And so we lifted up to look at the system, and it's pretty easy, just the little pipe is broke. And so we'll just put that pipe on, and we'll be good to, I think that will fix a lot of my little issues going on, and one major issue. So with that bottom chaffer being crazy, I threw a lot of corn out here. If this is soybeans next year, we're definitely going to need a volunteer corn killer. That'll get the neighborhood talking. They'll all be like, see, we told them don't buy a Claus. They just throw corn out the back. And then you're going to see all the volunteer corn because we were having a problem because of the previous owner. But yeah, so again, what potentially in your head was a catastrophic event turned out to be a half-hour repair back here, and a few minutes here, and a few minutes there, and a few minutes there. And so at this point, I might have to do a review video. But yeah, so guys, Lexion parts will be in tomorrow. Today's Thursday. Tomorrow afternoon, I'll run down and get parts and come work on the combine. And so, good deal.